So this is a braille note taker, which is basically a laptop with a built-in braille display, which is running on Windows 10. And this is what it looks like. Don't know if you can see that.
Can I just interrupt just for 1 minute?
Yep.
Jodie, this is a note taker that PBS have just started to stock.
Yep.
So it's different from the Polaris and the Plus that we're used to.
Yeah, and I'll explain to you some of the differences as we go along.
Okay,
So,
thanks, Steve. Carry on.
So it's basically a note taker that runs on Windows 10, which means that as well as being a note taker, it has 3 distinct environments. So the first environment is the one I'm in now, which is what they call the Esytime environment, which ESY, because they're Euro Braille and they make ESYS braille displays, so they use the word easy as like a play on the word easy. So Esytime is the environment I'm in at the moment, and that is it's a word processor, its own word processor, just like the Polaris and the Note, the Braille Note Touch. It has its own word processor, it has calculator, it has tools, it has internet, and all of that stuff. And it has Braille, of course. And when you there are, first of all, I should explain that as well as the 8 regular keys, we've got 4 buttons going down each side of the keyboard. So the left hand 4 buttons are the left scroll, which is the top, and the right scroll is the top of the right scroll, and then we've got the escape key, and then we've got the tab key, and then the shift key, and then on the right we've got the insert key, and then we've got the control key and the alt key. Now, so I said this is based on Windows 10. I'm in its own note-taking environment at the moment. It can do grade 1, grade 2, music and maths braille. If you do music, you can actually type music into it and have it play it back to you, and so that you can make sure the notes are right and you've got the right note durations and lengths and things like that, which I think is a first in the note taker world. And also you can export any music that you've typed to MIDI and to XML, which means that you can print them out into cited score sheets, as it were. So I'm currently in grade 1, and if I type a THE sign, what we'll get is it will say, excuse me, it will say the dots when I type.
1456.
So it says 1456, but when I press space, it says the word this, because it knows it's a contraction.
1456.
However, if I switch it to grade 1, which is a simple question of doing Alt and the number 1, and I type the THE sign,
1456.
and now if I press space, it doesn't say anything because it's a computer code for the question mark. So you've got to basically type in the right grade. It's a bit like a word processor. You know how you mark the beginning and the end of bold and the beginning of end of underscore and so on? You mark the beginning and end of grade 1 or the beginning and end of grade 2, and then you type in that grade. And so long as you type in the right grade that you've got it marked in, that's okay. And in Braille, on the left hand edge of the Braille display, it says left bracket B2 right bracket, which means Braille grade 2. So you always know what grade you're typing in. And it can also transcribe. So if you typed in grade 1 by accident, it can transcribe it back to grade 2 and so forth. So that's the first environment. That's the Esytime environment. The second environment is pure Windows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the Windows button.
Search.
And I'm now in.
Escape. Is
Document
easy right.
1.mb
Oops.
asterisk EasyNote 2.9.2.0.
Search box. Start list box. All apps check. Pin tiles. Search box set. Start list. All apps check.
There you are. And I'm actually in the desktop. So if I press escape,
Document 1.mb
I go back into my note taker. But if I press Alt Tab,
9.2.0. Jaws Professional.
I'm now in JAWS Professional, as you can hear. That means, because it's Windows 10, I can have any screen reader I want on there. I can have JAWS, NVDA, Supernova, even Narrator, which is free, comes with Microsoft. I can have that on there as well. And I can combine them as well. If I want to close JAWS and open Narrator, I can do that. and all kinds of things, so I can get the best out of all screen readers and so on. So what's the problem with the Polaris and the Braille Note Touch over these? Basically, they're both on old operating systems. The Braille Note Touch is on Android 8. The phone in my pocket is Android 10. That's quite a way behind. And the Polaris is on Android 5.1, I believe, which is really, really old. And eventually, Google are going to stop support for apps for that operating system. Eventually, they're going to say, no, we're not doing it for apps, on Android systems that early. This is Windows 10, as I said. So you're getting all the Windows 10 updates from Microsoft. And the other thing is, have you ever opened a Word file in the Braille Notes word processor, typed something in Braille, closed it, given it back to a sighted person, and all the formatting screwed up? That's another one of my favourite ones. It strips out some of the formatting. Well, with this, if I'd want to, I can just load Word for real. I can actually load Microsoft Word, and I can load Microsoft Outlook and read Braille, read the note taker on that as well. So what I'm trying to say is, Windows is the most popular, isn't it, in terms of in schools, most people have Windows as opposed to anything else. So this note taker is up there with that. It also has an HDMI port, so we can plug in a monitor, so sighted people can see what the student is typing. And it also has USB ports, so we can plug a QWERTY keyboard into it, which means that if you don't know Braille, you can type in QWERTY and it will be translated to grade 2 Braille inside the note taker, depending on what screen reader you've got. And the final environment, I said there were 3, is, in fact there are 4, just thought of another one. You can also connect this to a Braille display, to another computer, and use it as a dumb terminal. That is to say, you can connect it to a PC in the school or the office or the workplace, and then you can have JAWS run it as a Braille display, as a dumb Braille display. And the final environment is iPhone, Android phones. You can connect them via Bluetooth and use it as a dumb Braille display as well. So you can send your text messages by inputting in Braille, and it comes out on your phone desktop. Is there anything it can't do?